Hey, good people. Welcome to Miss LeAnnyaa's Third Eye 13. Miss LeAnn's my also known as SAG after name. Ya is my Thursday born Akan day name. So LeAnnyaa is my adopted name living in Ghana, West Africa. And this is where you'll get my third eye view and sometimes eternal educator perspective in or about or a multiple of 13 minutes. 13 being my favorite number. So again, welcome in. Okay, so welcome in again. And before we move to the interview, I just want to take a little bit of time to share the backstory on how we got here. And it goes back to when I had to have a cavity filled in one of my molars, one of the back teeth. And I went to a new dentist because my old dentist was retiring. So I went to her, and she was really, I think, on a hustle in terms of the amount of cavities that all of a sudden I had and the amount that it cost for them and the way that she did them. Basically, she used this like little injection type syringe, and she just squirted them in. And the one that was in my molar was the largest. So when she pushed it in, it didn't seat, it didn't hold. And so within a week, it had come out. So I had to go back, and she didn't like that, but I didn't like it more because it wouldn't have happened with my other dentist. So she passed me off to her associate. She was 2 years out of UCLA Dental, and she said that in order for it to hold better, she had to drill deeper. And in her drilling deeper, she hit the root, she hit the nerve path. So, anyway, from there, I had to go to the endodontist. But the tooth itself was problematic because I had to go 3 times for him to get through all 4 of the canals. And so it was a mess. If you've never had one, be happy that you never had one because a root canal is not fun, far less 3 attempts at getting it done. Anyway, fast forward to 2019 when I decided to move to Ghana. The tooth had held up pretty well, but the filling from the root canal fell out. And I had to go to a dentist there. And I actually ended up seeing 3 because each time the filling would come out. So, anyway, when I got back home, all that time from LA to Ghana, from Ghana to home in 2022, I broke it completely. It just fractured all the way, eating some dang plantain chips. So then I talked to my friend who put me up on the documentary Root Cause, which I'll include the link, and we talked about it in the interview. And after watching it, then I started searching holistic dentist, and I found Dr. Aaron, and she offers a flipper, which is basically like a one-tooth denture, basically a pop in and out. Learning from the documentary that it was better than having a bridge, and also just the holistic protocol for handling a dental extraction is you'll see in the movie if you watch it. So then another 2 years got away from me, and this past November, a couple of days after my blog on the election and my plans or my feelings about it, I saw her and she asked me what was going on. And I told her that I was coming in finally to get the tooth in preparation for leaving if I needed to. If I needed to get out of the country again, I wanted to have my tooth. And so I was met with her response of being excited about how the election came out, but more specifically about his appointing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And we're going to talk about it and you'll see all of that. But basically, I just wanted to share that what I've said repeatedly, that my life always moves in a divinely appointed way. If I hadn't waited, then the way that this has all sort of come together just would not have. And even more confirmation is how in sync our views are and how organic and natural the conversation was. Like we started talking about the vaccine agenda just again organically, but it spoke to me, it spoke to my soul because during that time, during the time of the pandemic, which is a word that I use and I use often, but it's not her word. I'm just making a point to distinguish that. Once it was clear that the vaccine agenda was what it was really all about, I dealt with a lot of people were shaming me because of my beliefs. And I ended up suffering a lot of distancing from my beloved because of the fact that I saw it differently. And so this conversation just, brought it all back for me. And with all of that, it is my tremendous pride and pleasure to invite you in to my conversation with Dr. Zina Aaron of Rose Dental, Atlanta Holistic Dentist. Okay, enjoy it. So, Dr. Zina Aaron, DMD, thank you so much for being with me today, being with us today. The first thing that I would like to know is, can you explain the difference between a traditional dentist, holistic dentist, DDS versus DMD?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
First of all, though, thank you for having me, LeAnn. It's a pleasure. I am so grateful that we can have this chat because, this is piggybacking off of our in-person chat, which was like great. I still
Yeah.
think about it. So,
Good.
DMD is actually, this is based on which dental school you go to. Some of them give out a degree of DMD, which is Doctor of Medical Dentistry. Sort of,
Okay.
it's a Latin term, and DDS is Doctor of Dental Surgery. Again, it doesn't really, they're pretty much equal. It depends. I went to the Medical College of Georgia,
Okay.
finished in 2007, and that's just a degree that they hand out. So
Okay.
I think it might be split half and half, but it's still 4 years. It's still the same dental schools of, there's several
Okay.
schools throughout the country. So where the holistic part came into being for me was
Mhm.
actually 10 years after practicing traditional dentistry. So
Okay.
I've been doing dentistry now about 16 total years.
Okay.
I've been practicing traditional dentistry, and I started looking into so somebody close to me, my husband, he's got a chronic disease, if you will,
Okay.
and we just he's taken the medications, he's done the IVs, the steroids and stuff, and nothing has helped him. So we're like, okay, there's got to be something else. It can't just
Okay.
be all medicine. We don't
Okay.
get sick due to a lack of a medication in our body, right?
Right.
So we started going more holistic, uh, going more, looking into the holistic route, and basically there's this belief in the holistic community that the body can heal if you give it the proper environment. Okay.
Okay.
It's this trust in your body that God
Mhm.
created it in, for a certain purpose with certain mechanisms and all that stuff. Like we're not diabetic because we don't
Mhm.
have hormone in our body. We're
Mhm.
diabetic because something else has gone
It's
wrong.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we need to try to right that ship.
Okay.
So anyways, I started looking into holistic because of his disease that wasn't even barely even managed with modern day medications. So,
Gotcha.
you
Gotcha.
start looking deeper, you're like, okay, there's got to be more to it. And then, of course, with dentistry itself, holistic dentistry is not a specialty, not at all. It's just a deeper understanding. It's just digging beyond what is being fed to you, what is being told to you is right, right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying that traditional dentistry is wrong. It's just there are safer ways to do things for us as practitioners and for you guys as patients, which is our number one priority, right? To
Got it.
take care of patients, to do what's right by you guys. Um, so yeah, I mean, basically, and I'm telling you, like, honestly, it's been I guess almost 7 years now I've been doing it, and I don't think I could practice in it. I know I cannot practice
Okay.
that way.
I
No.
got it. And
And
I
and
think even at breaking it down even more, I think a lot of people don't understand that holistic anything, holistic practice,
yeah,
medicine, dentistry, whatever, is all about the whole body system, the
exactly.
whole body
It's all
system.
good. Yeah,
And
yeah,
how one thing, and particularly our teeth, or
yeah.
the dental meridians,
It's,
as I have come to
it's
understand them,
yeah,
basically the nerve paths from each of our teeth and how they move throughout our body system.
yeah.
And so I also should probably say I had a friend to tell me about the documentary Root Cause, and then that led me on a path to try to find one locally. And I found you. And the biggest thing that I took away from Root Cause is that a root canal is the only procedure in medicine or in dentistry that allows disease to stay in your body.
It's similar. Would you like me to
Okay.
explain
Yes.
how it
Yes.
So yes, you're on the right track. It's so you have a cavity, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wait, you don't feel it, whatever it may be. The cavity, the bacteria goes from the outside of the tooth, from the enamel to the dentin, which is the
Mm-hmm.
next layer. And then the next layer in is the pulp, which is the nerve. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the pulp is the center of the tooth. It goes all the way through the middle of the roots, and basically the pulp is where the nerve and the blood supply of the tooth is. Really, a tooth is its own organ. It has three tissues, which is the definition of an organ. It has to have three different tissues. So
Okay.
enamel, dentin, and pulp. The pulp,
Okay.
again, is blood supply in the nerve. So once that bacteria gets into the nerve, that's how you feel pain. So pain is really the last symptom at that point. Like once you feel pain, it's kind of too late, right? So don't
Okay.
wait till you have pain in anything,
Okay.
really.
Okay.
So that means that we could have caught the cavity when it was in the enamel, when it was in the dentin, but now it's already in the nerve. So it's
Okay.
too late. So we take the nerve out, clean out the pulp. So we take the blood supply, which is what gives life to the tooth and the
Mm-hmm.
nerve, out,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a dead tooth now because it has no
Yes.
blood supply, it has no nerve
Mm-hmm.
supply. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
And what do dead things do? They attract bacteria, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what they do by nature, right? Bacteria
Mm-hmm.
loves dead things. That's how they break
Mm-hmm.
things down. So you really have a dead tooth in your mouth. And also dead things cannot transmit energy. Okay, that's a given. Like once we're dead, like in order when we have a heart issue, right? Like when the heart gives out, what do? We give it an energy burst in order for it to start working again, right? The defibrillator, right? So we
Okay.
are energetic beings to begin with.
Okay. Okay.
So once there's no more life in that tooth, then it's dead. And so therefore, teeth are connected. As we mentioned, you said the tooth organ meridian. Teeth are connected energetically to other organs. There's a chart
Okay.
online if you guys want to
Mm-hmm.
look it up. It's called the tooth organ meridian chart. So
Mm-hmm.
like they call this the canine, they call it the eye tooth because it's actually energetically connected to the eyes. It's crazy.
Okay.
So
Okay. I
back
didn't
in the
know.
day, they used to call it that, but it is that there's a reason because it's energetically connected. It's energy highways that are connected. Organs are connected to teeth. So therefore, when something, so it's like a circuit, right? Like an
Mm-hmm.
electrical circuit. Once there's something that's dead in that circuit, it's blocked, it's interrupted. The energy cannot keep transmitting throughout this whole
Mm-hmm.
circuit. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, that tooth can impact other organs that are in that circuit.
Yeah.
And they don't teach you this in dental school, never.
Okay.
They, in fact, the
Right.
opposite. They encourage root canals because hey, we need to save teeth at any cost. I mean, really, at any cost, like to the cost of
Really.
detriment of the body. I
Right.
don't know. You
Right.
know,
Yes.
you
Yes. Yeah.
but in
And that was my big takeaway from the phone. But you have said so much that kind of like, so it sounds like you started practicing traditional medicine, I mean traditional dentistry, and
yes,
then by virtue of a personal situation,
yes,
you found your way to looking at dentistry in a more broad view, in a
yes,
wider view, a
yes,
holistic,
yes,
and then you took that path professionally,
yes,
right? So
yes,
that to me, that, and then you also said something a moment ago about our being energy,
yes.
our bodies
Oh,
being energy, and so that leads me to the sort of foundation of my idea for this podcast, which is finding out how you define your philosophy in life. And then the next thing is, well, let me let you respond to that. Your
yeah,
philosophy.
it's a great question, and I think I probably evolved with that
Okay.
on a almost daily basis because you know I
Okay.
have three young children, and
Mm-hmm.
you know dealing with my husband's illness, and just like having a full-time job as
Right.
a practice owner. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, there's so much, and especially
Mm-hmm.
other women. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a very also a very unique role. Women, moms, daughters, sisters,
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, I feel like it is our responsibility in general, I think, to just kind of leave this world a better place, make this world a better place
Mm-hmm.
somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we are all connected, you know,
Okay.
all human beings are, we're all connected. Just the other day I was talking with my kids, you do one nice thing for somebody, and you know, it can encourage them to do something nice for somebody else. And we
Mm-hmm.
set off a domino effect of
Domino
light
effect. Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
this world.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it might not you do, and I tell them you do nice things, not to expect something back, but to do nice things to encourage other people to do that, to do a kindness, and then you
Mm-hmm.
might get it back someday when you need it. You never know.
Right.
Our lives are
Right.
so up and
Mm-hmm.
down, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
need anything now, but in the future you never know. So I always tell them build that bank, do things that are good, not you know, don't only think of yourself, think of
Mm-hmm.
people and how you can
Mm-hmm.
help them. And I think you know there is a I do believe in one God and there's a creator. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like, you know, again, there's, you know, I do believe in the Ten Commandments, right? The
Mm-hmm.
basics. And I think that you know, the more we love and care for each other, the brighter this world can be. And I think in this day and age, there's a lot of division and it's not
Yes.
necessary. And you know, we can try
Totally.
to help each other. And, you know, again, every day I learn something new from my kids or from, you know, how to deal with my husband, who's again, he's a chronic illness. And I'm,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being around somebody who's like, you know, about the same age, but not in the same health. It's
Yeah.
different. Like it gets to
Yeah.
you, you know,
Yeah.
psychologically too.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, so I just feel like, gosh, you know, uh, do try to do good. Have patience is so important. Being patient, you know, sympathy, empathy, and just trying to help others. I feel like and educate myself as much as I can so I can help other people with what because you
Yes.
know I come in contact with many people throughout the day, even like many
Right.
patients, and anything
Right.
I can learn and I can help them with is makes me feel like oh my gosh, like I'm doing my job, you know.
And
So
that is a perfect segue to my next question about purpose. So, in addition to how you feel about life, which I love that, I love everything about what you just said. Am I safe to assume that you feel like the life you're leading as a dentist, as a mother, as a wife, do you feel like that is the life that you were called to lead? I mean, a purpose-driven life.
I yeah, you know, yes, I feel that way, but at the same time, I feel like there's still so much more I can do.
Okay.
I
Okay.
still feel like there's so much more I can impart upon my children, upon my again my patients. Just I just feel like I need like I have this like I guess it's a learnaholic type thing. Somebody told me like you're like a learnaholic.
A learnaholic.
Yeah, I'm
I
like
call
yeah,
it an eternal educator slash student. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like crazy. And I
Mm,
feel like the more I learn, the more I and it's not only facts that you can learn, but also like how do other people think and feel and how
right,
do
right.
what is their it's life is so not black and white, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
There's so much gray in the middle, but
right,
you know,
right.
you learn that when you're little, it seems like, oh, it's black and white, this is good, this is bad. But then like if you're in a situation as an adult and you don't know which like, oh my gosh, there's so many gray areas, you
Yeah,
might do something that seems bad to somebody, but that was your only choice at the
yeah.
time because of the situation you're in, you know?
When you know better, you're capable of doing better. Not always necessarily will you, but yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I
Yes,
got you. I
yes.
got
And it's really just yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And it's
you.
I also learned like how gosh, as humans we can be pretty weak at points like the when you know like I know sugar is bad, right?
Yeah.
But if I have a piece of dark chocolate,
Right, right.
I'm gonna be like,
Or
okay,
look, a piece of dark chocolate cake.
oh,
Either
yeah,
way.
I'm gonna be like, you know what?
Yeah,
YOLO.
yeah.
I'll take,
Right,
but
right. I'll
then
take one for the team right now in this
yes,
situation.
and
Yeah,
and so like we
yeah.
know there's so many things
Hmm.
we know are wrong or not good for us.
Hmm.
We'll still do them because we have this will, like maybe a lack of will. Maybe it's up and down. Sometimes we're like, yeah, I can do this. I'm gonna say no to this. But then other times, oh my gosh,
And
like
that and for me, I call that the balance of human nature. I do believe that we're of the divine, we're of the source,
yes,
and everybody is. But we have to balance that with human nature, which is
yes. Well,
basically a light and dark.
exactly. And
Yeah,
that's why they
yeah,
say God gave us free will
yes.
because there is like we're gonna have the good we have this thing in our the good inclination, the bad inclination, right?
Hmm.
And you
Hmm.
really have to fight like
Yeah.
the bad inclination, you have to fight.
Hmm.
It's much harder than to
Hmm.
just give in and just,
Yes. Yeah.
and yeah, it's very but you learn about like gosh, we as the human condition. It's I call it the human yeah, the
Yes.
human
Yes.
condition. Like, oh my God, we're not
Hmm.
perfect. As much as we want to
Right.
be perfect, we're perfect.
Right.
Never
That part. That
the
part.
goal
Yes.
the
Exactly.
goal is
Exactly.
to keep getting better and stronger, but it's not always possible.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. When you
um
know better, you're capable of doing better. But I also affirm every day releasing the unrealistic notion of perfection
yes.
because it's just
It doesn't exist. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
And
So
I think it's
yeah,
a moving target. For what's perfect to you today, you might learn something
right.
new tomorrow, and it's oh, that's not what I thought
That's
it
not
was. So
right.
now I
Yeah,
change my yeah.
exactly,
So it's a
exactly,
moving target.
exactly.
It doesn't exist in a way, but at the same time, like, does it prevent me from trying to improve myself? No, but it's still hard. It's still hard.
Yeah,
Like it's oh my gosh. But there's some people who are really good at it. Some people, we need more need a little more help.
yeah.
So yeah.
Help and time. Yeah,
Oh,
time
time,
helps.
yes.
Time helps.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Support. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And so what you were saying just now in terms of the day to day, sometimes moment by moment efforts to get it right, and then going back to what you were saying before about the current state of the world and more
Yes.
expressly the United States being very
Yes.
divisive, and there's a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
division basically.
Yes.
And so with that, I think some of that was sown in the incoming president's first administration. Well,
Hmm.
I think it probably started with President Obama in terms of a lot of the things that had been brewing and seeping underground started to bubble up. But then I think the brashness and boldness of 45 and now 47 made it such that everybody was able to just basically be bold and brash, and that created a lot of separatism. And so there are a lot of people who are having a hard time embracing what is coming
Yes.
based on what based on the decisions that have already been made, and namely that he has selected Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Hmm.
to head the Health and Human Services Department, although he has no medical experience and is an environmental attorney. What
Hmm.
say you about that?
Okay, so can I back up a little and sort of give
Yes,
you my background? So
for sure.
I'm an immigrant to America.
Yes,
Okay, I think you know that from
yes.
here in '91. I was almost 10,
Okay,
straight to Atlanta, Georgia, before anybody
okay,
ever knew Atlanta, because
okay,
'96 put it on the map. But
okay.
and I have two perspectives. My perspective, I should say, is based on these two things: me as an immigrant and
Hmm.
me as a practitioner, holistic
Okay.
practitioner. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
so as an immigrant again, so coming to the United States, like a whole different world, right? I'm from the former USSR, where it was a communist socialist, however you want to call it, country, was till 1991. Actually, when it broke up was when we were at the airport to come to America,
Whoa.
America,
Okay.
literally that same day.
Okay.
So didn't
Whoa.
even know what was gonna happen. So it's yeah, my brother, myself, and my parents. That's it, the four of us. It was crazy. So but having lived life there and having lived life here, um, it's definitely, you know, there's a reason why they call America the land of opportunity.
Okay.
It is true. You can, there's so much here that is available, and there is freedoms to achieve religious freedom. There is
Mhm.
freedoms to achieve, you know, we're like, um how do you say it? We, you know, they say through hard work,
Mhm.
through, you know, you can, women here are, can, like, for instance, back there, women didn't drive, women didn't really own businesses,
Okay.
women, like, you could, but it was so rare. You were just
Mhm.
like, here you have all that, like, you can own a house, you can own land, you can drive a car, you can have a business, you can do, you know, yes, women fought for that, I understand.
Mhm.
But luckily here, there are countries still now where, you know,
Yeah.
some
Right.
that
Yeah.
women can't do
Mhm.
anything
Right.
that a man
Right.
can, right? Like, still to this
Right.
day.
Mhm.
So in a way, I think there's a lot here to be grateful for. And I know, it's not perfect, far from perfect. You know, there's capitalism being looked at as greed and bad. There's, you
Mhm.
know, socialism and communism being looked at as, you know, again, where I'm from, where there's really not much innovation, not much improvement,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
there's no incentive to, right?
Yeah.
Everybody gets
Yeah.
the same.
Mhm.
Everybody gets
Mhm.
the same.
Mhm.
Why
Mhm.
should I work harder than Joe, who's getting the same house and the same apartment, and I
Okay.
can do nothing
Mhm.
and get the same, you know? So
Mhm.
in a way, capitalism does get people to innovate and move forward,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
competition, right? Over there was no competition. You go to grocery store, you get one brand of everything, right? You know, there's not
Mhm.
even a grocery store that holds everything. You go to dairy store, there's the butchery, and there's the market for
Mhm.
vegetables, right? Here you go to one place, you get everything, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's a very different way of like seeing life, and we're like, wow,
Mhm.
all this stuff is like available to us.
Mhm.
Um, but the one problem that, as I get older and as a practitioner, and I see, is that there is a lot of chronic illness in America.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
lot. Like,
Yeah.
this is the country to be if you broke a rib, broken arm, whatever. Emergency medicine here is top notch. Like,
Mhm.
you need a surgery, definitely come to America.
Mhm.
But if you need management of chronic, or healing of a chronic disease, that's where we're very weak at, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's no, you don't, here, there's no, you just take a pill to manage the symptoms, is really what it is.
Okay.
Nobody, there's no cure. Like, there's no, we don't cure diseases here, because once you're cured, you're no longer a customer of the pharma, right?
Okay.
Once you no longer need that pill, they
Mhm.
want you to be on these pills to be a constant customer, right?
Mhm.
So in a way, this is like, this is Western medicine. Like, this is what we call, you know, but sadly, so I have the some stats here that I just kind of
Okay.
wrote out.
Mhm.
We have we spend the most on healthcare out of all the countries,
Mm.
developed and not developed, but we still have the sickest people. Like, we
Mm.
have a lot of people on medication. I think over, like, I don't know, I heard like 60 to 70% of people are on prescription medications here, right? I
Okay.
believe. So
Mhm.
it's a high percentage. And supposedly also starting in 1970, we have lost 5 years of longevity. Like, our life
Okay.
expectancy has gone down
Yeah.
by 5 years, right?
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
behind countries like Mongolia, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, like, and we are like the most developed country, right?
Right.
Like, you know,
Right. It's a
and so
contradiction. Yeah.
yeah, we
Mhm.
spend 2 to 3 more times in Europe on healthcare, but we have the worst outcomes. Like, why is this happening? What are we doing wrong? Like, what, you know?
Mm.
So, and again, I see this every day because I see patients who are ill, right? They're like,
Mhm.
they come in, you know, of course, with mercury fillings in their mouth, right? Which
Mhm. Mhm.
I think Europe has started to ban them. Not here
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Okay. Again, during COVID, we had the highest number of deaths in the world, but we only make up 4% of the population. Like, so it wasn't COVID that killed us. It was I think the average chronic disease that a COVID death had was like 3.8. So a person who died from COVID had comorbidities of like 3.8 chronic diseases. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
COVID just pushed them over the edge. It
Yeah.
was the mixture of other stuff that weakened their immune system that they could not
Okay.
recover from COVID. Healthy
Mhm.
people, really, for the most part, did not die from COVID, right? So it was
Mhm.
the obese, the autoimmune, the this and that. I mean, there was so much. There's a lot of details to this, but we had the highest death rate. I believe it was 16% of COVID deaths were Americans, and only 4 when we make up only 4%, 4.2% of the world's population. So big
Okay.
disparity. Okay,
Mhm.
so and you know, kids these days too are chronically ill. Again, as soon as the kid is born, they get like vaccines, all like from day one, right?
Mhm.
One vaccine and another, and like, we have a very, very robust vaccination schedule, and we still
Mhm.
have kids, right? Like,
Yeah.
Japan doesn't do a lot of the vaccines that we do, or at least not so quickly and not so put together. And they have a much lower um sickness rate and much lower, I mean, and they have a much higher life expectancy. Japan, I believe, is the top.
Right.
Japan,
Like
Hong Kong, those
in the
countries.
90s, I
Um,
think. Yeah.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
like at 70, 75, 78, something like that. Women
Mm.
and men. So, you know, so the thing is, I think that there's a big lack of awareness in the general population
Mhm.
of what's happening. Why
Mhm.
are we, people just do what their doctors tell them to do. right?
Okay.
We're
Right.
we're taught here the
Mm-hmm.
doctor he's the most knowing. He just do what your doctor tells you.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Not
doctor,
always.
not
Yeah.
always. But
Not
and where did
always
he
the
get
best
trained?
of,
Yeah,
yeah.
he got
Mm-hmm.
trained in a
Yeah.
university that is
Mm-hmm.
sponsored by pharmaceutical companies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. You
Yeah.
you can look that up. That's a
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah.
Again, the pharmaceutical, there's like five pharmaceutical lobbyists for every member of Congress. It's craziness.
Crazy.
Like
Yeah.
we don't, it's like the pharmaceutical, again, listen, so here's another preface. I think there is a time and place for medication. I'm not saying never take a pill. No,
Right. Right.
if your blood pressure is 200 over 120, take a freaking
Mm-hmm.
pill. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
should you be on
Mm-hmm.
that your entire life? Is that
Right.
like a no? You should, that's the goal, is
Find
to
another
thing.
way to get your
Yes.
pressure
Get
under
you
control.
get
Yeah.
yeah, do
Mm-hmm.
use the means
Mm-hmm.
that you have right now, not
Mm-hmm.
to die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take an antibiotic if you need, absolutely. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same
Mm-hmm.
time, the goal is to strengthen the immune system. The goal is
Mm-hmm.
to reduce the toxins you're taking in. The
Mm-hmm.
seed oils from, what the stuff is fried in the restaurant. You ask them, what do you fry your French fries in? Canola oil or some other oil. That's basically like, I think they call it an antifreeze or some oil that's like
Yeah.
none of the seed
Yeah.
oils are healthy, but that's
Yeah.
all the restaurants are cooking with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like hard to even go out to eat now because can't get anything fried because seed oils, again, fluoride in the water, not
Yeah.
necessary. Okay, it's not necessary. Like other countries don't fluoridate their water. They don't have a problem with cavities.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, again, it's not what is lacking. It's more like in your body, everything is gut health related, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even the teeth, the cavities. It's not, people are like, well, if you floss, you won't get cavities. That's not true. I mean, I don't, as a practitioner, again, I ask patients all the time, especially ones without cavities. Some of them, I'm like, hey, do you floss? Maybe once a week. Oh, but you don't have any cavities. How's that
Mm-hmm.
possible? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I ask patients, when was the last time you saw a dentist? Just recently, I had a few. They're like, oh, it's been 5, 10 years. Not a cavity. Do you floss? No, not a cavity. They brush twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to
Mm-hmm.
start digging deeper. I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
just floss. It's really not. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sugar. It's
Mm-hmm.
acidity.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
some of it is
Mm-hmm.
genetic, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is gut health. Are you absorbing
Yeah.
all the minerals you're
Yeah.
taking in? Are you
Mm-hmm.
absorbing all the food you might be getting all the best food and eating it, but then it comes out the other end because your body's not assimilating it.
Right.
Why? Like,
Right.
so doctors are not the regular Western doctors. They're not, and I've actually asked one of them. I was like, what do you like? How do you treat disease? Well, I give a prescription. Okay. Why? Well, because that's what people come to me for. They want the pill.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Mm-hmm.
do people want a pill? Of course, it's an easy way out. I love it. I don't have to change my lifestyle and just take a pill once or twice a day and I'm good. And they're like, yeah, well, they also see it on TV. They see a
Yeah.
commercial for medication
Mm-hmm.
on TV and they come to me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we be able to dictate like what medication? Why should they be able to advertise to us?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why should that be a thing? Like
Yeah, it's
right
it's
now,
it's crazy. Those
pharmaceutical
medication
commercials are,
commercials are
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
They're insane. It's like, well, with all those side effects, I'm better
yes.
off with the condition, please. Thank you.
That's what I'm,
Like,
it's so crazy.
so crazy.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so with all this said, like again, we're not taught to like, hey, get out and like walk 30 minutes a day. The,
Yeah.
the doctor doesn't, like, okay, they say it, but do patients do it? No. So
Yeah.
like the goal, it's just this whole like take a pill and get rid of the disease mentality, which is
Mm-hmm.
not true. It doesn't, you just you're masking a
Yeah.
symptom.
Masking. Mm-hmm.
You're managing a symptom. You're not treating the root cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my whole thing, is segueing into RFK Jr. I think that this mentality has to change. We
Mm-hmm.
have to, and he understands. All of these stats I read was from, I just told you, were from what he was saying. He understands that
Okay.
there's a problem, and that, is it going to take 4 years to? No, 4 years is just the tip of the iceberg. It's
Mm-hmm.
a decades to reverse, but it has to start somewhere, and I
Yeah.
think it has to start with um informing the people. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's going to start from the bottom up, because at the top they don't want you healthy because you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be their lifelong customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all, follow the money is like
Right.
where it's,
Follow the money
follow the
always.
money
Yeah.
is where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
if you're healthy and you're not dependent on their medication, they go out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that kind of like, oh, I could just go get a pill attitude should change.
Yeah.
You know, um, it's that we should, again, more emphasis on the body healing itself if it has the right conditions. Yes, medication is good in clutch situations, but can we
Mm-hmm.
rely on our own body to heal if we take out the barriers to healing? It's like the media demonizes the sunlight. Oh my God, sun can cause cancer. But
Yeah.
is that really like, no, we need sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying, you should get 30 minutes to an hour of sunlight per day,
Yeah.
really, without sunscreen, because we need that. The skin is the largest organ and it absorbs the sunlight, the UV light, and converts it
Mm-hmm.
into vitamin D and stuff like that, which is a very important precursor to so many of the processes that go on in our body for immune system to work properly. So again, I think it's like, I feel like we need a change in narrative,
Yes.
and I think that it's not being emphasized enough, has not been, because again, pharmaceutical companies are such a huge force to reckon with.
Mm-hmm.
And you know Also in, I believe, the Act of 1986 or 84, don't quote me on that, it took all, so the liability of vaccination, the vaccine companies, right,
Okay.
that were making vaccines, they took the liability off of these companies. So
Mm.
you cannot, if something goes wrong after you get a vaccine, you cannot sue the company. You
Mm.
can, you have to go through the government. There's like a whole court. It's called the NVIC court, I believe. National Vaccine Injury Court, look it up. They pay out like billions of dollars a year in vaccine injuries. But
Mm.
the companies
But the
are immune.
pharmaceuticals
Yeah,
don't
but
have
immune,
any
exactly.
liability in it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
how are you gonna, what is incentive for you to keep your product safe, right?
Yeah.
Like we're taught to think, oh, vaccines eradicated disease. It may have, there's even no proof of that, by the way. If you look
Yeah.
at the graphs, things started, the infectious diseases started to decrease before the vaccines were made because of things like better sanitation, right?
Mm.
Indoor plumbing, garbage is being, um, properly disposed of. But the thing is, we've eradicated infectious disease now at the cost of introducing chronic disease, right?
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
a problem. And there's going to be debate on vaccines cause autism, do they not do they cause these, maybe not, everybody's
Yeah.
different, that's not the
Yeah.
point. The point is, again, you have to put in something into your body in order to prevent something. Like if even that, like, how do we know how it's, again, the when the companies are not being held liable for their product, and they've never, did you know that they've never studied vaccines being given in like multiple doses? Because like the MMR, they've never studied it. What is the why can't we just do measles separately, mumps separately, rubella? They put it all into one, but that has never been studied, like them being given together as opposed to
Mm.
individually. That has not been
Mm.
studied. It's just an accepted thing. Here, we'll just give
Mm.
MMR at 1 year old.
Mm.
That was actually back in the day when a gastroenterologist who was like, hey, we need to study this because something's happening with these kids at 1 year old after they get
Mm.
these MMR vaccines.
Mm.
So, and he was blacklisted, of course. Oh my God, he's
Mm.
up against pharma.
Mm.
So, I mean, again, am I saying that, oh my God, Western medicine is so bad? No. What I'm saying is there's a time and a place, but we seem to be going away from what can our bodies do when we give them the right environment, right? How can you poke yourself, you prick yourself with a needle, what happens if your body, the blood coagulates on its own, right?
Mm.
You don't have to
Mm.
do anything. It happens,
It
right?
just
Because
does
the
it.
body
Mm.
wants to heal.
Mm.
So case in point, when I see patients, they have mouths full of mercury fillings, right?
Mm.
We remove them safely. We put them on a protocol before, during, after. Remove them safely, meaning we don't just drill them out. There's a whole thing that we do. We cover them up. We give them, again, supplements before, supplements after. We have them work with a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor to help them detox. But we've taken out root canal teeth. I mean, and the body just heals. Like there's
Mm.
several patients, I have several, I mean, more than several, that will tell you after this has been removed, my body is now functioning like it should. Like they feel
Mm.
like some of their brain fog has disappeared.
Mm.
The one lady had chronic fatigue syndrome. She's like, for 20 years, I would spend at least 1 week in bed every month because she just
Okay.
couldn't get, like, and she had a root canal tooth in the front that no dentist would take out because on the x-ray it looked normal.
Mm.
So we took it out and she's back to life again.
Yeah.
She's like, and I spent years trying to advocate for myself and nobody believed me. So of course, we tried.
That's exactly the documentary filmmakers. That was his
Yes,
story.
but, and this is an actual story in my office. But what do?
Mm.
We didn't put anything in. We took something out.
Right.
We
Yeah.
took some, it's like a splinter. You cannot heal if the splinter's still in,
In
right?
there.
You
Yeah.
gotta take the
Yeah.
splinter out. And the
Mm.
body's like, hi, I can breathe again.
Mm.
I can do what it needs
Mm.
to do. Like
Mm.
I can do what I'm designed to do, which is heal. Take the next breath, get more
Mm.
oxygen, do it, you know? So
Mm.
in a way, I think changing the narrative a little bit to we don't have to be so dependent on medicine and don't get to the point where you need medicine, right? Like
Yeah.
kids should be, hey, we should get out. There should be gym class in
Mm.
starting from elementary school all the time. There should be, you know, um, proper foods like the school lunch program. Like
Mm.
they tried to pass pizza as a vegetable because of the tomato sauce and like,
Mm.
I mean, like you can't, yes,
Mm.
okay, but like
Mm.
we should feed the kids healthy stuff. Like, and then all the food dyes in the candy, like red 40 or whatever, is like linked to hyperactivity and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like why, if we start with the kids, then we can grow into healthier adults. But if the
Right.
kids are messed up, they're gonna be messed up adults too,
Right.
not
Right.
messed up, you know what I mean? Ill,
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
So obesity, we have over 50% of obese kids. Like, why should kids be obese? You should be running around
Right.
all day, but
Right.
we're
You
sitting with,
should. Yeah.
yeah, we're sitting with video games and all this, again, all this unhealthy food with the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A and okay,
Yeah.
once in a while, sure, as a treat, okay,
Right.
but that should
Right.
not be an everyday diet. Like,
Right.
so, I mean, I think just growing awareness of this type of stuff, again, that is my hope that that's what's going to happen. And again, because RFK Jr. is aware of these things, I think just to somehow bring to light, for the people, and I think now with the internet maybe and with COVID, maybe some people did wake up to like, hey,
Mm.
what's going on? Like when maybe the vaccines were starting to be meant, like you have to get a COVID shot. Like,
Right.
that's another
Right.
thing that I think
Right.
I had several friends who were like that opened their eyes. They're like, what? Like, I don't want
Right.
a mental vaccine. I
Right.
don't. why should I, and then they would deny you your job, like, because of that, or travel or
Yeah.
whatever. It was crazy for a while, but
Mhm.
luckily it didn't stick, thank goodness. But in other countries it did. That's why in a way I think I'm like, oh my gosh, we're lucky we're here, they wouldn't have to do it. Some of us got away without doing it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not without consequence for some people, because I have several patients who lost their jobs with the airlines,
Right.
other
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So, in a way we still have some choice here, which is nice. But yeah, so I mean, I think as long as the people, the change is going to start from the bottom up, from the
Hmm.
people
That's
knowing,
all change. Yeah.
yeah, we vote with our dollar. If we don't want to spend so much on
Mhm.
the processed foods or whatever, we'll spend more on this, on the healthier food. It's going to change the way that things are done. Or again, awareness. Like people, even a lot of dentists still think fluoride is in the water is great. Like, why? If you really do your
Mhm.
research, there's PubMed articles on how it reduces IQ in children. It calcifies your pineal gland, which is the gland that makes your decisions, your emotions, all. It gets crazy. Like we don't need an excess of it. It already comes naturally in a lot of the foods. We don't need it in our
Mhm.
water. We don't.
And it's interesting that you would say that, because that is actually one of the arguments that I have to the RFK appointment. The idea that you just said about, because I did a segment on that explaining how the pineal gland is right in the part of the brain that's directly behind the third eye, the
Yeah.
the midpoint
Yeah.
between the brows. And so basically my thinking is, when I hear you say that, I'm like, but then if people have their third eye, their insight vision heightened,
Mm-hmm.
then that's really going to cause things to be out of control,
Yeah.
because there's a
Yes.
great
Oh,
deal of mind control.
huge.
And
Huge.
if people all of a sudden are able to see,
Yes.
if people are able to lead the flock of sheeple, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Oh,
If they're able
sweet.
to lead the flock, and
Yes.
I don't see that boding very well in terms
No.
of, long
Right. 'Cause
term, in terms of the agenda, the American system.
yes. Yes. So, and that's the thing, is it's the only way, but it has to be a mass exodus, right? What are they
Mm,
going to do if or the majority of the people start waking up? What are they going to do?
mm,
How can they, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
That's why I'm saying, okay, one or two people here and there, whatever, few doctors, few whatever. Yes. But if more people start, we need like, I don't know, 10 to 20% to start. What are they going to do with 10 to 20% of 330 million? What are they going to put us all in jail? I mean, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how that's
Yeah.
that you've got to have a collective. There's got to be a collective to
Yeah.
start like questioning and to start standing up for it. But yeah, it's extremely uncomfortable because you're looked
Mm,
at as psycho cook, whatever, like,
yeah.
oh, you're tin
Yeah.
hat, whatever.
Yeah.
But hey, that's where I live. I don't mind that. Like this is
Yeah.
holistic
Yeah.
dentistry.
Yeah,
Other
but see,
dentists
you know
not have.
what? And actually, for me, the point that I was making, and I think that goes probably to our differences in terms of our profile, in terms
Mhm.
of your being an immigrant, but as a descendant of the American slavery
Mhm.
system, I have a very different view of what America is. You know
Sure.
what I mean? And so, like, my thought is, um, the actual awakening, the
Yes.
spiritual awakening of
Yes.
people, is the antithesis. It's the very opposite of what America has been driven on, what it has been founded and,
Mm.
built on, in
Yes.
terms of control
Mm.
of the masses. And so for me, that's the thing that makes me say, no, they won't do it. Even if he persists that that is the way to go,
Yes.
if
Going to
if
be a lot of roadblocks.
yes, he will.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
Oh no,
exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
100% with you. Yes,
yeah,
but if it's
yeah.
never challenged at any point, then it's going to continue. So there's got to be.
Right.
I totally hear you, but
Okay.
look at us, you and I awake, right? In a way,
Okay.
yes.
Right.
So
Right.
you and I, my population of my patients, I have what I don't know, but maybe 3,000. I don't know, active something. I don't know, several thousand, and their families. They're awake. There's people, but right now it's just very like hush hush. Oh my gosh, like it's so. But I think since COVID again, there has been a bigger the eyes have been opened of some people. I
Yes.
don't know if
Yes.
it's a
No,
critical
I
mass
understand what
yet.
you mean.
Yes. So, and I agree with you that there's going to be a lot of barriers, a lot. That's why 4 years is not even going to be a drop in the bucket. But the only way to push anything through is to get people behind you, like the people who vote, the
Mm,
people who exchange their money for services, for food, for whatever. Like that's going to be the only way. But if people don't know right now, I feel like a lot of people, or at least up until COVID or recently, they just didn't know. Like, and they're
mm,
like, oh, just do whatever your
mm,
doctor tells you. But
mm,
even doctors were afraid to speak out when they saw
mm.
that it wasn't really COVID as much. It was all the other,
Yeah. Everything.
killing
Yeah. The
people.
other
The
things.
ventilator. There were many doctors who knew ventilators were not the answer. But
Mm,
what are you gonna do? That's the right now. That's the way to treat people as ventilators. Like ventilators, they should you should have more supplement. It should have been supplemental oxygen, not all the way down to the lungs. The ventilator way. So
mm,
like but if you speak out, you're a heretic, you're this, whatever. Yes,
mm,
but I think again now with maybe the internet having more and actually at the time I think Facebook and even Twitter was like shutting down any naysayers, right? So
mm.
now
Yeah.
you know, thankfully, again, with Twitter changing ownership, it is more of an open platform now, and you can have both sides of the. That's another thing, was the censorship. The censorship during COVID was extreme, and it was not necessary. Like anybody who was speaking out was shut down, shut down, shut down. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's right, right? There should be more than one way to look at something, like, and
Mm-hmm.
people should be able to speak on it. But they were shut down. Like there was even doctors trying to stand in front of they're called the I forgot what their name is, but there was a whole group of frontline doctors. I don't know if you know them. They
Okay.
they were standing in front of the Capitol building trying to say, "Hey, there's another solution." There's not. They were not given. They were shut down. They were not given any airtime, and it was like people have to seek out the information these days. Like you can't go to the
And
mainstream
for
source.
me, Dr. Aaron, that just confirms what I was saying. Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, that's the
yes,
First Amendment.
yeah,
So I'm saying if that was manipulated,
yes,
then I don't see how, and especially, I have my feelings about the incoming president,
right,
the
yeah, yes,
returning incoming president,
yeah,
and I just don't see it being, I don't see it being like this whole thing, this whole bromance that he has with Elon Musk. There are people who are saying, in a minute, that's going to be like a cataclysmic breakup because too
something
much,
else. Yeah.
of the
Oh,
same
absolutely. I
thing. Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
It's definitely a possibility. I don't know what I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. I
yeah,
totally. But
yeah.
my only thing was, and again, speaking from the health perspective, is
Right.
there needs to be a change in that aspect. And I think if
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard. I don't, that's the thing too, though. Americans are taught in a way, like I'm from Russia, kind of. We were taught in a way to be like more skeptical of the government.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's like, oh, the government's your friend. Not
Mm-hmm.
really. Like you have to.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
also a business trying to, make money. So in a way, you have to think like, hey, just because the government said that, or just because the news said that, just because that doesn't mean it's true. You have to go beyond what you're given, beyond
Yeah.
what you're fed.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I don't even let my kids watch TV, like because I'm afraid of the commercials. Number one,
Okay.
like the
Okay.
pharmaceutical. Oh, mom, but I can get this if I get, I
Yeah.
don't. And then the fast food commercials, and I don't even know
Mm-hmm.
what's like. I don't know any modern singers. Like we're literally like I showed them stuff from the 80s and 90s that I grew up on, right? Like
Okay.
Full House,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like things that were
Mm-hmm.
more family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're very impressionable now, and it's
Yes,
like, oh,
absolutely.
and the
Sponges.
thing is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I even teach them. I'm like, like, yes, respect authority in a way, like your parents, your teachers, your whatever, but everything else, you almost have to question it. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be like a naysayer to everything, but just, hey, do your research before you form an
Mm-hmm.
opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, my hope is just that the light is going to get shown on the health issue in America, which is it's not so like again, we're chronically ill, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not a good thing.
Yeah, I
And
appreciated what you said about going from infectious disease to chronic disease.
oh yeah,
One is no better
that's
than
what's
the other.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you,
Yeah.
like
So,
that's
mhm.
not, luckily now we have antibiotics, antifungals, all these things to treat the infectious diseases. But what do we have to treat the chronic disease? Nothing.
Right. Right.
Nothing.
That. Yeah, I
It's just
understand that. I
masking
appreciate
symptoms.
it. Yeah.
So I think that hopefully the American public will start being a little more discerning in information that they,
Yeah.
that they take
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Dig a little bit deeper, look at sources that are not just freely available, because you got to go,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want you to, it's almost like it's hidden in plain sight, but you have to take that
Right.
extra step to
Right.
look a little deeper.
Right.
Analyze the graphs of the vaccine schedule and the decline of infectious disease. It does not exactly correlate. So again,
Right.
you got to dig deeper. You got to zoom in, zoom out, whatever you need to do. But that's my only hope, is that like there's going to be at least if it catches the attention of one or two more people, and they tell their friends and they tell their friends, and it's yeah. But I hear you in your hesitation that it's going to make a change, but and I don't think it's going to be an immediate change by any means.
Right. Right.
But the goal is just
Not
if the
realistic.
people are
Yeah.
informed, maybe they can make better help advocate for themselves at least, right? Like, hey, I don't want to be on metformin my whole life, or hey, I don't want to be on this
Mm-hmm.
medication my whole life, because you can't get something for nothing, right? You can't get a pill to improve your blood pressure but not affect something else, or your blood
Right.
sugar
One
not
problem
negative.
chasing another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
get something for nothing in any.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
no such thing.
Yeah.
So you can take
Yeah.
the pill, but there's gonna be something else that'll suffer.
Right. Right. I
So,
got it.
like, I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor. I'm a
Yeah.
dentist. I want you to listen to
Mm-hmm.
me, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, be more discerning in information, because unless
Yeah.
people have an awakening, the government will keep their mind control going.
Yeah.
That's their,
Yeah.
it's their
Mm-hmm.
only way, is like, hey, to brainwash through, again, through the TV, through the
Mm-hmm.
radio, through whatever, like the sources that are easy, that they know people are always on.
Yeah.
And that's their way. But hey, we
Mm-hmm.
have to be like, hey, you know what is the agenda behind what they're trying to do,
Right.
and do
Yeah.
I want to fall for that?
Got it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I got it. I
and
got it.
and
And it
and
makes
that's
sense. Yeah.
and I agree that there's going to be, it's not I totally hear you in your skepticism, and I have to leave room for that, absolutely, because that you never know. I know that the only thing we can trust is the intent, like Right now we can trust the intention. Okay, he wants to change something. That's great.
Okay.
And I think we as people, I think we deserve to live a life where we don't have to be dependent on a chemical, on a pill, right? We can do things like, hey, go out and walk for 30 minutes a day, get some sunshine.
Yeah.
Don't eat foods that are like,
And even if the sun is not shining, I have
yeah,
found like when I get up and I do my morning walks, at least
you're getting fresh
there's
air.
natural light. Huh.
Yeah, fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fresh air,
Exactly.
natural
Yeah.
light. You got to get up. You got to move. We have to move. We're so sedentary.
Yeah.
Move, consume content that's positive.
Yeah.
Do a meditation or two.
Right.
Thank
Right.
a spouse. Thank a coworker.
Yeah.
Feel gratitude. We're taught, oh, your genes are what they are. You have no power against them. False. That is
Yeah.
false. Every day, your environment can change the expression of your genes. Every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like you can turn good things on and bad things off through, again, practices of gratitude,
Yeah.
through saying you see something about a coworker or a friend or whatever you like, say something nice. Do something like do
Kindness.
something to
Yeah.
help out.
Kindness, gratitude,
Kindness,
compassion, all of that.
all the things. Like it's crazy. They say uh genetics loads the gun and environment triggers it, right?
I
Yeah.
love that.
You
Yeah.
don't have
Okay.
to be, it's not a life sentence that your parents had diabetes, now you can have it. No, not necessarily. But it
Okay.
means you do have a bit of a harder uphill battle to fight, but it doesn't mean you can't do it, you know?
Right.
Um,
Right.
and just maintaining a relationship. Loneliness is a very bad thing. Like have somebody, have a friend, have a somebody, pen pal, I don't know, whatever. Like be in a community, go to church, something like whatever. Get out, do something, go volunteer at a place. I don't know, something. So anything that kind of gets your heart pumping and being, expressing something positive. I mean, it can make a big difference in your health. Very big. So, and again, taking out the splinters, taking out the barriers to healing,
Yeah.
again, in my case, it's taking out mercury, root canals, periodontal disease. Now, again, medicine is very specialized. There's a kidney specialist, there's a heart specialist, but why does the heart not function well? Because there's something else going on. So like it's everything is connected. The psychosocial is important too, just as
Yeah.
much as the physical. One
Yeah.
impacts the other.
Yeah.
If you come into a room and you hear a song that means something to you, your body,
Right.
you feel good. Like
Yes,
it's
it
an
does.
energy that changes you,
Purchase.
right? The memories come back, you
Right.
feel good, like,
Right.
but it's not physical. You can't see it, but it's energy.
Right. Right. Right.
So, and energy is a
Right.
real thing. So,
Yeah, it
yeah, my
is.
my goal is just for, like, again, people to realize, like, hey, we're all connected. Hey, we can all help each other. Hey, we can help our bodies heal, and just shine the light on the fact that it's we are responsible for our own, like, health in a way,
Our
and all,
own, yeah,
oh,
our
yeah,
own well-being, our own
yes,
wellness. Yeah,
yes, yeah,
exactly. And those around, not responsible for those around us, but inclined to
yes,
also help,
to at least
support
care,
their
care, yes,
well-being. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
absolutely, yes,
So, and with that, I'm going to just go back to what you just said about thanking people around you and showing gratitude. And I'm so grateful to you for taking the time and for sharing such insight. I mean, I learned a lot, and I hope that everybody who sees this will take away something and help them to move a little bit closer to their divine call.
I meant to
Their purpose.
absolutely.
Yeah, I really hope so. Or I affirm that. I affirm that that's
There you
what this will be. I affirm that that's what
go.
this will be. And I
Yes,
release it. I release it to the source to be done.
amen.
And to you, Dr. Zina Aaron, I say namaste, which means the light within me honors every bit of light within you. Thank you so, 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 so much.
No, thank you, LeAnn, for having me. It was, like I said, it was serendipitous at the office, and now
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
glad that we did this.
yeah.
And I appreciate everything you're trying to do. It's huge, and that's how, actually, this is how knowledge is going to get spread, is through things that you're doing. So
Thank you.
that's awesome. So you're part of that light. Keep shining.
Okay.
Keep shining
Thank
it.
you.
All right,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, so I could not be happier about the way things came out. And again, I affirm that it was educational and enlightening for you all, and that it helps you to move forward to your divine call. And for me, outside of the information I got from Dr. Aaron, I saw quite a few technical lessons, but I also took away from her the call to find some way to be of service when she was talking about how she teaches her children to do good, pay it forward, and not for the expectation of anything in return, but just because if I had a way to turn back time, I would respond. It surely will. It is whatever you want to call it, cause and effect, attraction, karma, whatever. You do good, you get good. And I basically am called now to find any volunteer opportunities. So if anyone has any suggestions, I welcome them. And before my closing reminder, I do want to acknowledge the wildfires in Southern California. People I know not just news reports, but people I know have lost their home, and it's devastating. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And so I call for you all to pray and affirm their safety and their well-being and their restoration, because people have lost all of their belongings, everything. So I call for your prayers for them. And with that, I will remind you that my biggest Third Eye 13 aspiration is to eventually host all of my beloved Thriving 13th babies, the eighth wonder of the world, Mr. Stevie Wonder, May 13th, Auntie Whoopi Goldberg, November 13th, and the September 13th trifecta, Miss Iyanla Van Zant, Mr. Tavis Smiley, and Mr. Tyler Perry. And my biggest professional aspiration is to join Team Q Vision and support my beloved, phenomenal 15th baby, Mr. O'Shea Jackson Ice Cube, born June 15th. Yay, yay. Help him to build out a radio podcast division. And I thank you now for touching and agreeing with me on all of this, please. And I sincerely appreciate that you took the time to hear me out. And I affirm that, be it by divine appointment, you will the next time as well. And I release that now to the source to be done. And so it is, Amen and Ashe. And I will close with Namaste, which means the light within me honors the light within you. So until next time, Namaste, good people.